Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ian Bates. I work in the marketing team at Milner Browne. Today, for our Wednesday webinar, we have a guest speaker joining us. Shane Hughes is the Managing Director of a company called Lean Unlimited, and what Shane will be running through is just a series of principles and best practices around lean thinking, kind of outlining the basics and kind of how you can apply these practices to your organization. The webinar is the first in a couple of events that we're actually running around lean thinking. You may have already received an email just letting you know that we're also hosting a free seminar in our Cherrywood offices in Dublin. That will be taking place on Thursday the 29th of September. So today is very much a taster of what you can expect on that day, and then obviously what Shane will do actually on the seminar, on that workshop, is kind of going into a bit more detail, and I believe that the workshop is very interactive. So and it's kind of reserved to a certain amount of guests. So Shane will obviously be able to help you and take your calls. Take any questions that you have with regards to your own organisation and how lean thinking can help. So what I will do now is I will pass over to Shane and he can start his presentation. Shane, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Ian.
Excellent. Okay, I'll leave this with you now then, Shane.
Thanks again, Ian. Thanks for the introduction. So good afternoon all, and apologies if you were on the call this time last week. We had some technical glitches which didn't allow us to go ahead, but thankfully in the spirit of lean we've identified the problem, we've come up with a countermeasure, and we've resolved the problem. So sort of wasn't by design, it was kind of lean in action. So but we are good to go today. Again, thanks Milner Browne for giving the opportunity to talk with you. The subject today is quite an interesting subject, whether you're already doing lean or whether you're thinking about doing lean. I think there'll be some interesting slides that I'm going to take you through. I'm going to try and keep it to about 20 minutes, and then we'll have a bit of Q&A afterwards. So I'll just kick off there now. So just at a high level, what I want to take you through is just introduce what we call lean thinking. Introduce the concept of the high-performance organization, which is, I suppose, in my view, it's lean in action, performing well. Look at some case study results of some companies that I have rolled lean out against, and just some interesting figures there to share with you. And then sort of touch on what I would call a lean transform program. So what actually would it look like to get involved in lean and to run a project around lean? So typically what I would normally advise companies, we do some benchmarking, we look to implement some lean systems and processes, and because lean is more than just systems and tools and processes, we also have to look at the behavior side of leadership as well, and the culture of the organization, to make sure that the lean will sustain in the organization. And last but not least, again, if you're an Irish company, there's some very favourable funding available for you to get involved in bringing lean into your organisation. And say we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So I like to start with this slide because it sort of sums up the introduction to lean. You may be doing okay, and you may think that just because you've been in business for the last 5 or 10 years, you'll continue to be in business. Not always the case, because with lean, it forces you to constantly look at what you're doing, what you're making, what your service offering is, what your customers are looking for, and constantly challenging the business model to identify waste, take out waste, take out the cost of doing business, so that you're in a better position to support your customer on an ongoing basis. That's really the whole logic behind lean. So quick definition, what is lean? Again, it's not a program, it's not a set of tools, it's not a quick fix, it's not something that you can pass on to somebody in your organization and say, okay, look, make us lean. It doesn't work like that. What it is it's cultural transformation for the company. And it normally requires a company to have an inward look at how it operates, come up with some new processes, new ways of working, new habits, potentially new skills, and very often a new attitude throughout the organization. And that's probably why lean is considered difficult to implement in a company, because it's not just a training course. It is about doing things differently, and anytime you've got people involved and looking through things differently, that's where the change management needs to kick in along with the program. So again, graphically, it's basically, we can look at lean in the terms of a flow. It's the yellow button there would be basically value in the eyes of your customers. In other words, why do your customers do business with you? Why do they buy from you, be it a product or service? What do they like about what you supply or manufacture? And also, why do they come back and buy more, and why don't they go to a competitor? So that's the first thing. What is it the customer values about what you do? Again, it's the second button there would be looking at the value stream. So in other words, looking at everything you do, the A to Z of how you function as a business, and basically say, you know, what bits of the what I do adds value to the customer. What bits actually, if I stop doing them in the morning, it wouldn't impact on the value I create to the customer. So it is about understanding those wasteful elements in the organization, and then it is about come up with a plan or a program to actually eliminate those non-value added elements about the operation. The third bullet then, the blue one there, that's about basically making things flow better once you've taken out the non-value added activity. And the fourth one is probably the most challenging one. It's at the pull of the customer. What does that mean? That means that you know, what good looks like in a lean company is we're moving away from what we call you know, batching of either manufacturing or batching of service elements of fulfilling the requirement, and trying to get back to the in theory you know, a batch of one. So what would it take to actually take a requirement and deliver that one requirement? And that is challenging, and that's where, you know, we would look to lean tools and lean processes. And the good news or the bad news, depending on where you look at it, is you know, the final red button there is, it's called in pursuit of perfection. So the good companies, if you're interested in doing lean for the long term, you know, once you complete this loop once, you go and challenge everything again, and look to identify more value offerings or more ways in the business, and go attack those as well. So it is an endless loop, and you know, the companies that have been doing this for a number of years, they tend to be the successful companies, which will be around for the long term. So again, just read out the definition there. It's a proven path to profitable growth driven by the provision of exceptional customer value at the best cost, enabled by the ruthless and relentless elimination of waste. And that's basically what this whole thing lean is all about. And again, the significance of this slide here is that above the waterline, you can see there, lean is, if you go into a visit a company that is doing lean well a number of years, you'll see lots of visual management, lots of charts up on the walls, you'll see lots of process flows, which are all important and all part of enabling lean in an organization. What you won't see is the below the waterline stuff, the leadership, behaviors, attitude, strategy alignment, which is actually driving the correct culture in the organization. And that's, to be honest, that's probably the most important part, because if the leadership mindset is correct, it's driving the right culture, which will enable the stuff above the waterline. But you can't have lean, or you can't be running a lean organization without addressing both parts of the iceberg. So just moving on here, this slide is actually it's a slide, it's a model that comes from the HPO, the High Performance Organization, based in the Netherlands. And why I like this again is it's called high performance, but again I would use the terms high performance organization and lean organization. I would use them interchangeably, because basically they're both the same thing. They're about trying to develop the best organization that you can. In other words, adding value to the customer. And the interesting thing about this slide is, if you work backwards, it's the enabler for a high performance organization is actually the behavior. It's the behavior of the organization that delivers the high-performance organization. And again, if you step back from that, what drives the behavior of the organization? It's the organizational structure and it's the organizational culture. And again, structure being the organizational design, the strategy of the business, the processes in the business, and the technology enabled in the business. And on the culture side, again, it's back to leadership mindsets, it's back to individual roles, and it's back to the culture of the organization. But in my time in working with many different organizations, it's the same checklist every time. These are the important things that will move the needle in either implementing lean and or enabling a high performance organization. So I just put this slide in to show that lean is not just for the big guys. Over the last number of years, I've worked with some of the biggest multinationals, and I've also worked with some of the smallest, one-man shows. And it's the same principles, it's the same logic. Whether you're a multinational with 20,000 employees or whether you're a one-man show, the principles of lean are the same. And the implementation and the benefits as an organization, are the same outputs can be achieved. Again, I did say I'd share some numbers with you. So again, these are all case studies or deliverables from companies. Again, I would have worked with doing lean programs primarily with Enterprise Ireland companies in Ireland. And you can see there there's one column there called targeted savings. So there would be what we identified as potential savings at the start of the program, and then on the right hand side you can see delivered savings there, which again are the actual audited deliverables from implementing the lean program. And there's some big numbers there. They're all real numbers, and again, I suppose that's the benefit of a company looking at a program such as this. So moving on to benchmarking. So why benchmark? Well, you don't know how good or how bad you are, or you don't know where your potential gaps are versus your competition if you don't benchmark. So I would always recommend going into a change program such as this is to do an independent benchmarking. And again, I've been trained by both Enterprise Ireland and IDA, and I have access to their benchmarking database, which allows me to work with a company and do a benchmarking against that company's basically peer competitors. So if you're in manufacturing, if you're in service, if you're in technology, we will identify who your peer competitors are, and we will benchmark your current performance against that competitor group. And to be honest, that's the only metric that really matters, because it doesn't matter how good you are. It really the acid test is how good you are compared to your competition. And again, by benchmarking, we can identify any gaps, and we can build an improvement program into the transform program to address and close those gaps. So it's both the benchmarking takes the format of both qualitative and quantitative. So the quantitative are the hard financial metrics, which are important and tell a story. But by using the financial metrics and the business process metrics, and by comparing both of those figures to your peer competitors across Ireland and UK, that normally tells a very interesting program, a very interesting story. So again, moving on, the other part of lean is visual management. So another definition of lean I've come across is data, and that's very true, because lean is all about getting data that we can measure. Because if you don't measure, you don't know how good or how bad you are, and you can't improve. So a large part of lean is getting the data, plotting it, tracking it, and hopefully looking at the improvement line, or if not, identifying where things aren't going well, and putting resources to make that gap disappear over time. Similarly, lean is very much focused on what we would call standard work. Standard work is very important in lean, because if you don't have a baseline, you can't improve. So part of the theory of lean is We need to figure out what good looks like. We need to figure out the baseline, get people performing at that level of operation. And then when mistakes or problems happen, we can then drill in and say, okay, was the standard followed? If not, why not? And please follow it the next time. Or if it wasn't followed, we now have a new problem that we didn't know about. We need to isolate it. We need to contain it. We need to fix it, and we need to make that problem go away forever. And again, this is what the really good companies do: is they basically identify variability which causes problems and costs money, and they make that variability go away on a case-by-case basis. Again, more charts. So again, in a typical organization or a particular department, this is the type of stuff I would expect to see. They would have looked at their process, and they'd documented how it currently works. They would identify how they want their process to look maybe in 3 or 6 months' time. So they'd have had a current state map done. They'd have identified a future state map. They would have identified the gaps or the opportunities, and they would have had an improvement program in place to close those gaps and move the operation from the current way of doing things to the better, more improved way of doing things. And obviously there would be a number of metrics also being tracked and measured to confirm that that the operation is in control, the graph is going in an upward direction, as well as moving the process forward from its current state to its desired future state. And now we're going on to the final section, which is leadership. So as I said, leadership is it kind of all hangs on leadership, to be honest, because if the people at the top table don't understand lean thinking and they're not sponsoring it, it won't happen in practice, and it will fail in the organization. So again, it is up to the senior people in the organization to figure out what is the mission vision of the company, what is the strategy, what are the goals that have to be delivered on an annual basis, and then what are the objectives either by department or by individual person to deliver those goals which deliver the company strategy. And again, by doing it this way, we can set objectives for employees, and those objectives, if they're reviewed on a regular, maybe quarterly basis within the company, they will drive those employees to carry out the right actions, again, which deliver the objectives, which deliver goals, which deliver the company strategy. And on the right-hand side of the page there, you can see, there's almost like a one-for-one marking between strategy and culture, between goals and values, objectives, routines, and activities and behavior. And you may remember on a previous slide, it's the behavior of the employees in your organization which deliver a high-performing organization. And this is I suppose the linkage between the employee behavior and the resulting delivery of the company strategy. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. That's what it's all about. Last but not least, I've just 1 or 2 slides here on behavior, because I have found out probably the hard way in working with organizations doing lean, if the behavior, if we can't address the behavior, again, particularly of the senior team, if they aren't doing the right things, chances are other people in the company won't also be doing the right things, and lean will be, at best, it'll be suboptimal. So again, by taking this approach, again, I've got my own behavior tools, let's call them, which allow me to starting with the management team to see what is the focus, what is the priority of the management team, and is that the appropriate behavior to be adopting to drive a lean high-performance company. And if they go through the process and the answer is yes, that's fine. I just acknowledge they're doing the right thing and keep doing it. But more often than not, I help them identify things that they're not doing or they're not prioritizing. And again, through coaching or mentoring, we can address that gap as well. So the whole logic of this is to move people from the left-hand side of the slide to the right-hand side of the slide into a high-performance role. And again, through the behavior technology that I deploy, everybody's role has a part of there's a sustaining part of whatever you do in the company. There's an accelerating part of whatever you do, but there's also, unfortunately, because we're all human beings, there's a performance hindering stuff as well. This goes back to the culture. It goes back to the the challenge of not doing the right thing at the right activity that the job requires. And again, this just identifies if this is going on in the individual role, and we can addressing it as half the battle. Once people are aware of it, they can work on it to minimize or ideally make that hindering behavior go away over time. So again, if you do come under the IDA Enterprise Ireland funding, there's some quite good funding available for companies to get involved and implement Lean through either 3 programs: a Lean Start, where you get 7 days, 7-day consultancy, Lean Plus, which can be anything up to 50-60 days, or a Lean Transform can actually run over a year or 2. But there's, it's all state funding, and it's highly grant aided. And I suppose the whole purpose of even thinking about doing Lean is basically to move a company from its current ways of working, or current maturity level, as they call it, to a higher level of maturity or competitive advantage. And as long as you're doing this and you're taking the step ahead of your competitor, you will be around for the long term. That's what every organization should be looking to achieve. So that's it. I said it would take about 20 minutes. Sorry, I've run slightly over there, but I think we've time in to take any questions.
Hi Shane. Yep, that's right. Sorry, I probably should have mentioned at the start of the call, although I do realise that a number of you kind of join our webinars on a regular basis. There is a questions tab on the right-hand side. So if you do you have any questions for Shane, what we would prefer to do is to kind of keep everyone muted, but we do obviously invite questions to be sent through via the questions tab, like a number of you have done so already. So, but obviously if you do have any questions, please send them through now. We've got about 5 minutes or so of Shane's time left, so we'll just use that up with the questions that we've got at the moment. Shane, question here. Is it adjustable to introduce lean thinking activities? Okay, sorry. Is it advisable to introduce new lean thinking activities all at once, or are these best drip fed through over a certain period of time?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. What I like to do is probably what I didn't mention there is I'm strong on what I would call project management. So if it's a small intervention, treat it as a small intervention, wrap a project around it, and project management that small deliverable and bank it. If it's a bigger part of maybe it's a department level, you want to look at Lean, again, wrap a project around it, put timelines, put milestones, put deliverables, and deliver whatever you've identified for that particular department. If it's a large scale transformation, it's actually the same. It's the same approach. It's about scoping. It's about defining deliverables. It's about breaking those deliverables into sub projects, and delivering on those sub projects, which will deliver the overall organizational transformation. And the only one thing I would add in on there is I'm a firm believer in unashamedly stacking the deck. So if I'm engaged with a company to do Lean, there's nothing like success breeds success. So what I would always try and do is pick something that's 99.9% guaranteed to success, to succeed, because then you can people guaranteed, if you're introducing Lean, people will be cautious. They will be maybe a little bit nervous. What's this about, and what's in it for me, and what does it mean for me? But I think if you can deliver success and people can see the organization is moving forward and I'm not negatively impacted, well then maybe I'll be more willing to get involved in the next project when it hits my area, if that makes sense.
Excellent. Okay. Another question here from the floor. Shane, are the values of lean thinking the same for all sizes of organization, or are there different ones or specific ones just for small businesses?
There's a good one. Again, lean is I suppose it's first of all it is embedded in the values of a company, right? So again, whether you're a one-man show or whether you're a multinational, every company will either have stated values, or if you haven't got the trouble, if you're a smaller company and you haven't stated values, you actually have stated values indirectly because values are a function of the culture of the company anyway. So you are operating a certain way. So I would always suggest that it is important, whether you're a one-man show or a big company, to actually, as part of figuring out what lean means to you, or what it can mean to your organization, take time out to just list what am I, why am I here, why do I exist, why do I hold dear. In other words, what are my values? And then you can set your program around that. Because if you try and do a lean program that is not aligned to your core values, it will fail. It won't work. There'll be too much conflict.
Of course. Okay. Another question here, Shane. What would you say is more important in lean, the buy-in or the actual processes themselves?
The buy-in. If you don't have the buy-in, the project won't go anywhere, or it won't sustain. So the buy-in, absolutely, the buy-in from senior management.
Sure, excellent. Okay, okay, and we have got one more question here. Over what time period would you expect to see improvements or cost savings with lean? I guess that's quite subjective, isn't it, to the individual company?
Well, yes. Again, some of the engagements I would have would be 7 days. Other engagements I would have, I'm working with one company for over 2 years at the moment. That doesn't mean I'm not delivering. It just means that the scope of that project was basically it was quite a large transformation program. So, but again, I will say it's back to what I always do is, let's take the company I'm working with for 2 years. At the start of that engagement, we would have identified a number of projects which we wanted to deliver over the 2 years, but each of those projects then is almost like a little lean project. Each project has a scope, a timeline, a resource, and firm deliverables. So as long as we continue to deliver each project and hit the deliverables identified in each of those projects, I'm doing my job, and the company is deriving the results.
Excellent. Okay. So, Shane, with regards to lean thinking, there is it a question of simply just trimming overheads, or is it a case that you can actually go into an organisation and drive levels of productivity just through streamlining processes and that kind of thing?
Well, again, thanks for prompting that question in. It's not simply about trimming overheads, because if a company is in an uncompetitive situation and it thinks it can work its way out of trouble by trimming overheads, it's I think we've all probably witnessed that at some point. It's death by a thousand cuts. There is no way out of that situation. But where a company can work its way out of a difficult situation is in focusing on what does the customer value. Why does customer do business with us? What is it about our business offering that the customer is willing to buy from us and come back for more? And if you can focus on the value added offering, and then look internally, say, okay, well, that's why the customer deals with us. What are we doing internally to convert our resources into that value offering? But more importantly, what stuff are we doing that doesn't actually either add value to what customer is looking for, or potentially adds cost? And that's where lean kicks in. It is about unashamedly identifying the non-value added activities of the organization and removing them, because no company can afford for the long term to carry inefficient processes or activities. So it is incumbent on the management team to identify the non-value added stuff and either trim that down or redirect people to more value added stuff. But that's the function of a management team, in my view anyway, is to make sure that they understand customer value, and they actually they own the resources in the company, or they direct the resources in the company. So it's incumbent on them to make sure that everyone is adding value, and if there is non-add value stuff going on, it needs to be challenged and eliminated.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Shane, obviously we're kind of coming towards the end of our presentation now. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, we are running a free seminar on the 29th of September. In a couple of weeks' time in our Cherrywood offices. It is a free event. You can go along, talk to Shane. Obviously, he'll expand on today's webinar. Shane, how can attendees find out a bit more information about lean thinking? Do you have a website that people can log on to, or an email address they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, but by all means, you can log on to leanunlimited.com, and you can find some reference material there, or literally go into Google and put in lean thinking, and you'll probably get 10,000 hits. There's no shortage of material out there on lean. I suppose the challenge I find is taking the concepts and turning them into sustainable competitive advantages for the business. Again, because we're just in that one sentence, we're into change management, and again we're into change management at the senior level in the organization. Normally, that's where we start. That's where things get sticky. But if it's approached in the right way, in a holistic way, with the right project management and the right coaching, companies can literally transform themselves. And I've worked with companies that have gone from red to black to money in the bank, within 12, 18 months, which is obviously very rewarding to be part of that success stories.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Shane, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Obviously, thank you to everyone who's attended. What we'll do is we'll send out a copy of the webinar like we usually do, and we'll also attach a link there where you can register for the free seminar on the 29th of September. Shane, thank you very much for your time again. I hope you've enjoyed yourself and had a good time.
Yeah, it's been as you can probably tell, I'm very passionate about this subject. So thanks for sort of corralling the time, because I would have gone on all afternoon over it.
Well, you can certainly do that on the 29th anyway. I would thank everyone again for joining us, and we hope to see you on the 29th. Okay, thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.